Hello everyone and welcome along. It's Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, number one tennis betting podcast and YouTube show brought to you in association with Bet Rivers, your hometown sportsbook. I am Nigel Seeley and delighted to say join me for the last time this week when a busy week of tennis, 4 tournaments across 4 different countries. It's our senior ATP Tour handicapper, it's Sean Calvert. Now before Sean introduces himself, I know that you're not very happy. Are you, Sean?
It doesn't take a genius, does it, to figure that one out?
You're not happy at the best of times.
I'm really happy at the best of times. Yes, correct. And B, I'm obviously not too happy about, excuse me, young Mr. Varillas losing from 100 to 1 on in play earlier on. A couple of match points. Pretty nasty choke against Flavio Fognini. I'm over that now, I think. That was about, it's probably about 4 or 5 hours ago now. I say I'm over it. I'm not really, but, you know. You got to move on, haven't you, in tennis? You know, if you get your 100 to 1 winners, 50 to 1 winners, 66 to 1 winners, obviously the other side of the coin, occasionally you are going to get a loss from 1 to 50, 1 to 80, 1 to 100 in this case. But yeah, doesn't make it any less painful, unfortunately.
Now, how do you, I'm asking this question as a friend and someone who follows these tennis tournaments as well, when somebody does that to you, do you always think, well, I can't trust him now, even if he's value, or do you sort of reevaluate the value and think, okay, that was a performance, we forgive him for that? I reckon, knowing Mr. Calvert, I reckon that might take a bit of time for him to ever be back in your good books.
It depends. You know, a price is a price. If it's an outstanding price that involves him, then I'll back it. I mean, a lot of the time, I do tend to tweak my bets in play anyway for just this, particularly on clay. For just this sort of eventuality. You know, clay does tend to lend itself to people struggling to serve out matches. You know, it's much easier on the if you've got a big serve on the grass or a quickish hard court, you know, it tends to be a little bit easy. But on the clay, it's rarely over until it's over. So I do tend to cover myself a little bit in play, especially when there's people like Varillas involved. But generally on clay anyway, I very rarely, in all honesty, trust players to serve a match out on clay. Unless they're so far ahead, it's you know, ridiculous. Even then, you know, you've seen some comebacks. You know, I wouldn't rule anything out, particularly on clay. So I do tend to have a little bit of a manipulation in play because, you know, a lot of these players, you know, 95% of the players, they can't really be trusted to serve a match out. Only the very, very, very best. You know, your Nadals and Djokovic and Federer and all these sort of guys, you would expect them to serve a match out. But pretty much anybody else is liable to the odd choke, and that's what happened to Varillas today.
If you didn't watch the show yesterday, what our pick was Varillas to beat Fognini. And this the other thing that's really bad for is Fognini's one of Sean's favourite tennis players. Varillas won the first set fairly comfortably, 6-3. He's then gone into a 5-4 lead, and he's got 2 match points, lost his serve, loses the set in a tie break, and then gets beaten. But it didn't end there. There was sort of... he
got back into it. Well, he had 2 match points on the Fognini serve, didn't he? Fognini was serving at 15-40. I think it was 5-3, 15-40. He had the first match point. He just hit it long, Varillas. I think Fognini saved the second one quite well, and then having not taken those 2 match points, he came back to serve for the match. But he never looked convincing in any way, shape, or form. There was things going into the bottom of the net. You know, it was going wide. You can just tell after the first point, generally, if it's going to work or not. A sort of nervy error in the first point of serving a match out, that's bad news. And then, as you say, he was behind like 3-1 or something in the decide, and then came back all the way back to a couple of points away from victory, but he just couldn't get over the line. And yes, you're right, the irony was not lost on me that I love watching Fabio Fognini play. I certainly didn't love it. I still admired it a little bit today, but it was not the day to be admiring Fabio for me, unfortunately.
Last question: Did you hedge?
Yeah.
I didn't. Hedging's for gardeners. Anyway,
not on clay. Not with someone like Varillas. I can't be doing with that. But if it's 100 to, it depends on the price. You know, if you're 100 to 1 on, it's a no-brainer, really, isn't it? If, 1 to 10, 1 to 12, that's something I potentially wouldn't do. But given the fact that he was 1.01 in play, then that's just an easy decision for me.
Well, hopefully some of you would have cashed, got some money out of it. I didn't. Anyway, move on to tomorrow. Tomorrow's another day. That's my strategy all the time. Tomorrow's another day. We forget about what happened the previous day.
You're not going to get many of them.
Well, listen, to me, I think the times if I hedged 100 times out of the time when someone was 1 to 100, so minus 1,000 in betting terms in America, I think I would give my money back probably more times than I would actually keep it. I don't know what the statistics are on there, but I just think, well, we had a good value play. It lost. That's my strategy. Anyway, we have I think it's 4 or 5 matches tomorrow across 3 tournaments. We're going to start with Gstaad in Switzerland. What's it like out there? What's the weather like? Is it good? Nice? What's the forecast tomorrow? It's really important. The weather conditions here is so important.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be 26 degrees tomorrow, which is
lovely,
hot and sunny. Certainly warm enough for the bets that I've got lined up here. I talked about it a few times on the show. I think I mentioned it yesterday. The first 12 matches in Gstaad, 7 of them went to a set 1 tiebreak. So that's 58%. So if we're taking that on, it's not going to carry on like that probably, but if we're taking that on and saying that's the benchmark for this week, then it should be 1.72 about a set 1 tiebreak in every match if we're going to take those statistics. So we'll come on to the sort of value on that in a minute, but it's just going to get warmer. You know, it's nice and sunny today in Gstaad. The play hasn't finished there yet, but yeah, 26 degrees supposed to be tomorrow, so it should be more of the same in Switzerland.
And we open up with a match that is a pick-em match with BetRivers. Head across to BetRivers website, 4:30 a.m. These matches start. Lukas Klein against Quentin Halys, minus 112, the pair of them. BetRivers cannot split them. The spread, I'm not going to even give you the price on the spread because it's irrelevant on these kind of prices. You can make your own spread if you want to get one of them to win by bigger numbers. But the total is 23.5. It's over minus 110. Under is minus 125. Looking at the head-to-head, Klein beat Halys in Brisbane in 2024, 6-4, 7-6. On the clay court form this season, pretty much not much in it really. Money has come for Halys in the last hour or so, and at the current prices, it's probably one of the best prices in the land for the Frenchman here, who did well at Wimbledon. It's probably not his surface, but in fast conditions, Halys has a chance here. I'm leaning towards the Frenchman. I don't know what you're going to do, Sean. What's your fancy here?
I'm going games again. I think you have to with these two. I mean, since Halys has returned to form and fitness, his serve's been on fire at Wimbledon. We bet him a couple of times, didn't we, at Wimbledon? A couple of bets we won on with Halys, one against Eubanks. He's won 86% of his first serve points overall now in matches against Eubanks, Khachanov, Rune and Gasquet. But if you look at what the return points he's won, last 4 matches, 27%, 28%, 31% in his last 3 matches. So when he's serving great, fabulously off the charts, but he's not returning very well as usual. Against Klein, when they met in Brisbane on a hard court, he won 84% of his first serve points. So he's come back from a spell in the doldrums, injury, whatever, and now he's serving superbly well. Klein is as well, won 81% of his first serve points against Stan Wawrinka and 64% on his second ball. So both of these guys are serving great. The conditions lend itself to aggressive serving, big hitting, and Klein himself won only 29% of return points in that match against Wawrinka, which obviously he won. Looking back at that Brisbane match again, Klein won 27% of return points, and Halys won 28% of return points. So this all fits the profile that I'm looking for here, which is big servers, lots of first serve points won, not many return points won. So, again, we're getting around about plus 150, about over 10.5 games in set 1 here, which is, it's not the biggest price in the world, but it's still value based on what we've seen so far in Gstaad. There's another one just gone in, actually. Tsitsipas was a set 1 tiebreak as well, so that number's clocking up day by day. So, if we're getting a decent chunk of plus money, plus 150 about over 10.5 with these two, given their profile, given their statistics, given the way they're serving big and not returning very well, I'm still happy to take that bet. So, set 1 overs again there, plus 150.
It's also a pick a match, so it's not like it's one big favourite.
Yeah, it's not.
So they could just trade off for the first 8 games or so and just raise their game up at 5-5 or in a tiebreak. But Lukas Klein against Quentin Halys definitely looks like an over match. It's 23.5 on the overline. As I said, it starts at 4:30 a.m. Sorry?
You could take the overs line. I mean, I personally prefer the bigger price about the set 1 tiebreak, but if you were in on the totals, then certainly overs these two. I can see this being a long one.
Yep. Be a long one there, and the match prices, head across the BetRivers website. There's about 29 different markets available. And also remember, as I keep saying on this show, if you bet with BetRivers, you can also bet live as well. Watch live and bet live. So you'll be able to bet and play and watch the match as well on your live stream as well. So if you watch the match and you don't want to find it on your countless television channels you have over in the stateside, you'll be able to watch it on the BetRivers app, on your tablet, whatever you want to watch the game as well. So interesting match, Klein against Halys, and Sean believe this will be a tight match and over 10.5 at plus 150. Is that an official play?
Yep. I think we're going to take these.
Play straight in with the official play at plus 150. Next up, Felix Auger-Aliassime against Yannick Hanfmann. Felix Auger-Aliassime is minus 286. Yannick Hanfmann is plus 220. The spread here is 3.5, minus 117 for the Canadian. Felix Auger-Aliassime, minus 117. Yannick Hanfmann is minus 109. The total series is a little bit lower than the first match. It's 22.5 with over evens under minus 129. Looking at the season record, Felix Auger-Aliassime has had an unbelievably good season on clay, something you wouldn't expect. 13 wins from 5 matches. And he's a very low price, but
had some luck though, hasn't he?
Well, I tell you what, the bettors might not agree with him on this one, because the bettors in the last 3 hours since his match lines have come out all want to be with Felix.
Yeah, I mean, he might win it, but honestly, that's of no interest to me. It's the same. It's the same way of thinking that I've just come from in the other match. Just looks like another tie-break match to me. Yannick Hanfmann, he loves these conditions. I've said it before. He always goes reasonably well at altitude on the clay. Here he's 7-4 win-loss in the main draw, 13-4 win-loss if you include qualies, and his service points won and return points won total is 102, with a hold and break total of 104, and 87% holds of serve. So he's extremely effective in these conditions. He won 86% of his first serve points again against Moreno de Alboran in round 1. That was another one of those set 1 tie-break matches. Yet another one in Gstaad. I think it was 2 tie-breaks in that match. Loves these conditions. I think you saw him in Geneva, didn't you, in similar conditions against Djokovic?
Yep.
When I was getting the ball,
I watched him and he didn't win, did he? We
should have won a set, shouldn't he?
Djokovic, so, yeah, it was unbelievable. We lost money on the match. It was
he had about
match.
4 or 5 set points, didn't he? And he made a mess of every single one of them, including one which was just a regulation overhead at the net, which he managed to make a mess of. But you've seen firsthand how effective he is in those conditions, and this is even higher altitude than Geneva. I mean, I wouldn't be backing Felix at short price. He's only played here once.
Why do you think the market is getting with Felix? He's just the name player. There has been a move for him. He's minus 286 now, and that currently is like the best price everywhere else in the land is minus 330, minus 350. Everyone wants to be with him.
I don't know why. I mean, he was extremely fortunate in Madrid. He got to the final in Madrid on clay at altitude, but he was very, very lucky. He had numerous withdrawals, retirements. One of the luckiest runs to a Masters final of all time. He's only played here once. That was back in 2018. So it's not like he's particularly familiar with these conditions. Yes, he's had a lot of time to adapt. He's probably been here for a while. I don't know. I guess he's been here for maybe a week or something, but total guesswork. Maybe people have seen him around the grounds in practice. Maybe he looks absolutely on fire in practice. I don't know. He was struggling with a hip injury prior to Wimbledon. Came back. So he didn't really play any warm-up tournaments on the grass. I think he played the Boodles exhibition, but that was about it. Went into Wimbledon a bit cold. Had a 2-set lead against Kokkinakis, 4 match points. So he would have been about 1 to 100 in play as well at that stage. Lost, managed to lose it in 5. So he's a little bit match rusty. Hanfmann isn't. Obviously, he's had 3 sets in these conditions, which he's very familiar with anyway. I just think Felix's return game here, it's suspect at the best of times, but in these conditions, with Hanfmann not serving bombs, I think it's going to be very much a test of his limited return game. So the price here that BetRivers were offering, I presume and hope it's still there. Set 1 over 10.5 games, that was plus 210 with BetRivers. I mean, that seems pretty decent to me, and that's certainly a better value play than backing Felix at minus 286, in my opinion.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
The money for Felix has come in the last few hours, and he's, it's been a big move for him. Set 1 over 10.5 is now plus 230.
But even better. This is madness. Unless there's an injury to Hanfmann or something that I don't know about. It could be that rather than a positive for Felix. It could be a negative for Hanfmann. Maybe someone's seen him limping around or something. I don't know. I'm happy to take that. I mean, even better value then in that case. Plus 230, did you say?
Plus 230. Over 10.5 first set games in Hanfmann against Felix Auger-Aliassime with Bet Rivers now. Head across to the Bet Rivers
Let's
website.
take it then.
Or the app. Let's
before
take
it goes.
now because we're going against the trend. I love it when we go against the trend. I don't want to be swimming with the right side. I want to be swimming against the tide. Yep, and the market likes Felix here, and we want to be against it. So there are the two bets there. Both official plays.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. We're moving across now to Gstaad in Sweden, where we have probably one of the best games of the day, but matches of the day, very intriguing match. Rafael Nadal, the legend, the man who, the king of clay. Is he the king anymore? We don't. Well, he's not really the king anymore, but he's probably. What would you call someone who's the king who's now is retired? What of clay?
I'm not sure there's an actual term for that, is there?
Well,
I think once you're the king, I don't think you either abdicate or you die. I think that's basically it, isn't it, in terms of royalty?
I know, but I'm trying to think of something. There must be something.
Probably. It's beyond my vocabulary.
Anyway, I'll think of it in a minute. Rafa Nadal is up against Cam Norrie, minus 180 for Rafa against the Brit Cam Norrie, plus 143. 2.5 the spread, minus 121 for Rafa Nadal. Cam Norrie, plus 2.5 is minus 105. Total, again, is 22.5. I think this is going to be quite an interesting match here because the market loves Rafa. Yeah, absolutely loves him. They get stuck into him all the time. And he's got a 4-1 winning head-to-head record against Cam Norrie. But the last time they met, Norrie did beat him. And Norrie, he beat Jack Draper in his last match. I didn't say Scott Draper. He beat Jack Draper in his last match at Wimbledon, played really, really well. Then he got beat by Zverev. And then obviously Bastad come through here against Cobolli, I think it was. Nadal come through against Borg, not beyond Borg, but another Borg. But this is a tough match here now. Market loves Rafa, as they always do. Are we going to go with the favourite here at minus 180? I think that's a price. I look at Rafa here, and I think he's coming here purely and simply to get some match practice, see how far it goes, and get ready for the Olympics. He's going to give everything at the Olympics. So why would he want to burn himself out in this match? That's my opinion.
I just think it's a bad price. I'm still not convinced by this Nadal comeback. It's heavy conditions here in Gstaad as well, which is not ideal for the Nadal game. He likes it sun on his back, topspin kicking up off the surface. Not really there in Gstaad at the minute. He wasn't great against Leo Borg. Borg is awful. There's no two ways about it. He's dreadful. He's 0-18 at challenger level. He's played 18 matches in challengers, not won a single one. And he's only won 4 sets in those 18 matches. He had 12 wild cards, by the way, out of those 18 challenger levels. I could go on about this for ages, but this is a complete waste of everybody's time. He gets so many wild cards, and he's not even close to being challenger level. And Nadal broke him twice in 2 sets. Is there a thought process there? Sorry to interrupt you, but is there a thought process that he goes a little bit easy on a legend? If he wanted to beat him 6-love, he could have done. So do we get carried away with the statistics and think, okay, he's only struggled against him, or do we think, well, this is a Swedish tournament in Sweden, the son of Bjorn Borg, why would he embarrass him? Well, he didn't have to embarrass him. I would have expected him to beat him a bit more than that, a bit heavier, a bit more convincingly than that. But yeah, maybe you're right. I must admit, I hadn't considered that option. He may well have been persuaded, shall we say, to go a little easy on him. That is quite possible. Yeah. Excuse me. Let's just look at the other stats that make me think this is not a great price. Last 12 months on clay at main level, which is basically this season for Nadal. Let's take Norrie first. The stats are almost identical. That's why I don't think this is a great price. Cam Norrie, 53% win rate and a service points won and return points win total of 101. Nadal, 60% win rate, slightly better, and the same total, 101. Service hold and break totals, both the same, both on 104. So the level that Nadal is producing right now this year, this last sort of 3 or 4 months on clay, it's way down on the level that he used to produce, and that's obviously the injuries have taken their toll. The forehand isn't what it was. The movement certainly isn't what it was. He does have a very good record against fellow left-handers on clay, as you would probably imagine. Do you know any of the 3 fellow left-handers that have beaten Nadal on clay at main level?
I think you've asked me this question before, and I didn't.
I'm not sure I have. I've probably asked you a similar one.
My answer to that question, I wouldn't know.
Okay, the first one was one which I don't really count because he should have retired. It was when Shapovalov beat him in Rome, when Nadal was hobbling on one leg, and he just refused to retire, even though he was not even close to being competitive in the match. He just wanted to carry on and finish. So that doesn't really count. So Shapovalov. The other one was Horacio Zeballos in the 2013.
How am I going to get that?
I said, did you know?
Honestly,
I'm not saying you should
honestly,
know.
Sean, honestly.
I'm not saying you should know.
You are the person I would call if I was on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Not saying you should know.
And
I'm just saying, do you know?
I would never know that in a million years. I wouldn't even know who he was if he walked past me in the street. Who's the next one?
Zeballos? Yeah, you should do. Anyway, that was the 2013 Santiago final. You might remember the other one, the only other one, because it was the year that Madrid was played on blue clay, which I thought was a great idea, by the way. You could see the ball perfectly. You can't see it on these normal clay courts. Verdasco beat him on the blue clay.
I might have thought that.
In Madrid, 2012.
Questions here. These are tough.
I'm not asking you to. I didn't expect you to get them. I was just curious whether you would have known. The Shapovalov one was fairly kind of memorable if you watched it.
I would have had 1,000 guesses on answer number 2, and I still wouldn't have got it. But there you go.
Well, you're not going to get Zeballos in 2013. Anyway, great record against fellow lefties, but that's in the past. As you say, Norrie beat him last time he played him, which I think was in United Cup on a hard court. As you say, beat Draper at Wimbledon. Played really well against a good opponent in Kovalik. Kovalik played at a decent level. Norrie, he had to go to the well a little bit to win that. It was a tough physical battle, and that's the sort of thing that Cam Norrie loves. If this is going to be a physical battle, and I expect it is, I would fancy Norrie at the minute, just because we don't know how Nadal's going to be. He certainly wasn't tested against Leo Borg. This should be a great test for Nadal. That's what he's come for. He's come to test himself, see where he's at. If he wins, great. He lives to fight another day. If he doesn't, then let's move on to next week and prepare for the Olympics. But as far as betting is concerned, I think you got to go with Norrie at plus 143 here. I
like Norrie here. I do like the Norrie factor. I think Norrie's at a sort of a stage of his career where he's got to try to get back into the top seedings because he can go one way or the other. I think Nadal comes here knowing he's got all the pressure on him to go to Roland Garros for the singles as well as the doubles with Alcaraz. Can you imagine the media attention for that doubles match with Alcaraz?
Yeah, I don't get this. I don't get it. It's a doubles match.
Why is he even bothered? Like, really, what is he bothered about this match for? It's a huge match for Norrie. I love the Norrie. I love Norrie on the handicap as well. I think it's a great bet. Yeah,
I guess he's here because he wants to see where he's at. He can do all the practice he wants, but on the match court against the better players, Borg, not any sort of a test of any description. This certainly should be. I'd be very surprised if Nadal just came in and romped home as a minus 180. That price, minus 180. What would Nadal have been? Let's have a look at some of the previous times he's played against Norrie. The last 2 times, he was 1.03 and 1.04 against Norrie, which is like 1 to 33, 1 to 25.
Yeah.
The last 2 times he played Norrie on clay. Now he's minus 180. It tells you where he's at. He might be able to bring something out of the locker. He might roll back the years. You never know. Depends how he's feeling on the day as well. He's got so many injuries. How is he going to shape up on the day? I just think it's not a great price.
He doesn't want to put himself through the mixer and get injured for that Olympics. 100%.
That's true. Yeah,
100%. And that's why I like it. I think that's his priority. And this is for for Cam Norrie. He wants to get back in the top 32 seedings to get himself into the seedings for the US Open. So
it's a winnable match for Norrie. Yeah, for sure.
I think unless he, and if he gets in the battle, he wins. That is a nice price there. So head across to the Bet Rivers website. Again, it starts very early. We haven't got the order to play yet, but round about 5 a.m. Eastern time, Cam Norrie against Nadal. Also tomorrow, across in Worcester, we have Rublev in action as well. We have Borges, Quickspor, Navoni as well. So lots of matches there. 28 different markets and all those different games across with Bet Rivers on the website. We're moving across now. Again, it's a bumper. We're going to Hamburg now. Cobolli up against Zhang. Now, this one here is another 50-50 call. Bet Rivers can't call it. Zhang is the Seeley player, number 8 in the world. Cobolli, arguably, probably slightly better on his clay court record, it would look, from the year. 10 wins from 7 losses. Zhang is 8 wins from 5. Cobolli's impressed so far. Beat Altmaier, beat Offner as well last week in the Bundesliga. Zhang has beat Seth Wild to get to this far. But it's a pick and match. They have met twice before. No clues in that either to give you the way this match is going to go. Cobolli won in Florence, 6-4, 6-3. And in a challenger in 2021, Zhang won on clay in 3 sets. But this is a pick and match from Bet Rivers, and it looks a pick and match to me. So I'm quite intrigued to where you're going to go here, Sean.
Yeah, it's a lean for Cobolli here. He's certainly got the better data on the clay in recent times. Last 12 months on clay at main level, Cobolli, service points won and return points won, total of 104. And a service hold and break total of 108. So very impressive numbers there for Cobolli on this surface in recent times. Zhang can't match that really. 101 total and 104 hold and break total. Very respectable stats, but not as good as Cobolli. So certainly an edge to the Italian on the stats. I watched Cobolli's first match here against Altmaier. He should have won it in straight sets, really. He was by far the better player, Cobolli. But he wasn't up to par on breakpoint chances. He took 3 out of 11 that day. He needed to be a bit more ruthless. He would have come away with a straight sets win, but he won it in 3. He was never in any real danger there. Zhang benefited from a somewhat typical second set tank from Seyboth Wild, who basically gave up after losing the opening set on a tie break. Didn't offer anything at all in the second set. He just drifted away. He had retired a few days prior to that in the Challenger, I think. I'm pretty sure he did. Seyboth Wild retired in the Challenger before that. So I may be doing him injustice. Maybe he wasn't fit, but to me, it just looked like he'd just got in a bit of a petulant strop after losing the first set and just decided he wasn't going to bother in the second set. So Zhang not tested there, really. I'm not sure the head-to-head's massively relevant, as you said, because the matches were 2 and 3 years ago. One of them was on indoor hard. The one on clay was 3 years ago. A lot has changed since then. So this, for me, if you're betting in this match, I would certainly advise Cobolli as a little bit of value there, I think.
Cobolli's -112. Head across the Bet Rivers website. 4 a.m. start. Also tomorrow in Hamburg, we have Artur Feast, our tournament selection, up against Laszlo Jerry. Hopefully, you can get through this company prompt -190. And also, Holger Rune is in action as well tomorrow at 8:40 a.m. We do know the timings for those matches across in Hamburg. We have also a tournament in Newport, the grass court tournament as well. No official plays from that and no actual picks on this show, but there is. So obviously, everything's covered on the Bet Rivers website, the number 1 betting bookmaker across stateside for tennis. Give you a little update on our figures so far. -655. I think it's going to go up again today. We've had a real hard loser today. And one of our plays in play at the moment, the Struff match, is looking quite good as well. So I'm sure that's going to be going up again. Got some nice bets again tomorrow. So, Sean, we've got the Lings. What have we got official picks for tomorrow? What have we got?
So in Gstaad, we're going to take the 2 set 1 overs matches. That trend looks to me like it will continue there with the sun coming out again. So the first one was over 10.5 games in set 1 of Halys against Klein at +150, 2.5. That is in decimal. And the second one, Felix Auger-Aliassime against Yannick Hanfmann. Same bet, over 10.5 games. You've now advised me that in set 1, that's +230.
Even better.
So we'll take that at +230. And should we take the Nadal one as well? We'll take that as well, shall we?
Yeah, come on, let's go. Why not?
Yeah, let's give it a go. +143 with Bet Rivers, Cam Norrie to beat Rafael Nadal.
Yep. So there you have it. 3 official plays. Lots of action across on the Bet Rivers website. You can follow myself and Sean on our social media pages, and you also follow us on @BecauseWeWin, which is Twitter and also on Instagram. And next week, this is our last show this week. Next week, Sean on Sunday with the show. And Sean will be already in Umag in Croatia. You're flying out Saturday, aren't you, Sean?
Yeah, it's 34 degrees there at the minute. If my air conditioning's not working, there's going to be a problem. It's extremely hot there at the moment.
Well, we look forward to seeing if his air conditioning works. In my I've already actually emailed my booking.com and asked them if we got air, and they said, Mr. Seeley, we've got 2 air conditioning units. So I could loan.
So I'll be coming
one
round to your place then. If
well, I could loan you one at a nice fee if you get stuck. So we
is it mobile or is it entrenched into the property?
The only fee I would like is a nice couple of cold lagers in the harbour. That'd be me done.
I could probably stretch to that.
Well, there you go. That's no problem. So you'll be able to follow myself and Sean across in Croatia next week. I'm flying out on Monday. Sean will be there on Saturday. We're going to do some podcasts. We're going to do some chat. We're going to do some stuff across the bars at the venue as well. It's going to be really interesting. So make sure you follow us there. Keep downloading the podcast. Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, your preferred podcast provider. And obviously keep subscribing to the YouTube channel, Betting Weekly Studios. Numbers keep growing and growing. Do you know what? We've had the YouTube channel for a year next week. Did you know that? Our standalone YouTube channel. Well, I knew you wouldn't know that, but it's a year that we've had it, and we've had over 4,000 subscribers, 4,200 subscribers in 1 year on this show. There is people who do this kind of content over in the UK and America who have been doing it for 11 years who have 5,000, and we have over almost 500,000 views, which is, for this kind of content, a 30-minute show, to stay with us and listen to this show. That's a long time.
People are tuning in for my misery, aren't they? That's what they're doing.
Well, yeah, and that's why we need you to be more miserable. We want you to be a little bit more. I know it's hard, but we need you to be more.
I could probably try.
That is an amazing achievement. So thank you for everyone, not only the tennis guys, myself, Sean and Rory, but also the guys who do the soccer content as well. So a really good achievement. It's our anniversary next year, next week, and me and Sean will be in Umag to celebrate our anniversary of a year on Betting Weekly Studios. So that's it. There's some great bets there, really good value plays. Sunday we'll be back looking at the next week's tournaments, the build up to the Olympics, the build up to the US Open continues here on Betting Weekly Studios. It's all tennis all the way until the soccer season resumes in August. But for now, goodbye, and we'll see you again next week. Take care.